made some really cool connections. There's a guy I work with. He has a YouTube channel, Josh Shaw. He's an entrepreneur in like the CPG industry, and he works with a lot of flavor and ingredient manufacturers. And he will fly me out with him to when we go to these expos or events, or maybe he has to meet with a client. And it's usually people like, okay, we'll go to Ghost headquarters and we're going to hang out with Dan and grab lunch after. Cool. Or we're going to First Form in St. Louis and we're going to hang out there and grab food with the CEO there. Or Celsius, I got to meet their CEO.
Welcome back to another episode of the Blueprint Podcast with your host. I am Zach Heyer.
And I'm Spencer Maxwell. And it's not just any episode, is it, Zach?
It is not any episode at all. Why is that? If we want to refer back to episode number uno, we are on episode number 4.
Yeah.
And that is officially the top 10%, statistically speaking, of podcasters. Because most 90% quit after 3 episodes. So we're on episode number 4.
We're top 10%.
Yeah. Statistically speaking.
And so statistically, we're doing great. And we're doing great again today because we have a phenomenal guest. Zach, tell us who our guest is today. You know him a little bit.
We do. I am so excited to have the Grant Furness on the podcast all the way from Houston, Texas. Grant is actually Tawny's cousin. And we have had the privilege, the pleasure, and the honor of being able to partner with him with the ZNT agency. Mm-hmm. So he has enabled us to be able to offer websites and logo packages, but that's not where his gift set stops. And you'll figure that out later in the podcast. He offers a ton of services, but we are blessed to have him as a partner of the ZNT agency. Grant, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the amazing introduction. I appreciate it. I'm blushing over here a little bit, hyping me up. I'm great. Thank you.
He's great at that. Yeah.
Good. But I mean, that's super important, right? When people are very great at what they're doing, things of that sort, like instead of just thinking it, we need to tell them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that that's super important. And for Grant, the guy crushes. Yeah. Absolutely crushes. So, of course, I'm gonna tell him how I feel. And I'll tell you Blueprint listeners how I feel as well.
Yeah. And Grant, speaking of telling things, tell us a little bit about you, your story, what makes Grant Furness Grant Furness.
Well, that could be a long story depending on how much time we have.
Right.
Let's go back a little bit then. So I never really had a entrepreneur mindset as a kid. I mean, I'll go as far as to say I wasn't even really that driven. Probably a lazy kid, honestly. But at the time, I was 13, so that was 17 years ago. I got into Photoshop, graphic design, and back then it was really expensive. It was like $800 because computer software was different. Digital design wasn't really as big as it is now. So you had to like buy the physical disc from Adobe. They would ship it to you. It was like $900. So here I am, a 13-year-old. I don't have this money. So they had these forums you could go on, these like websites that probably gave my parents viruses. Sorry, mom and dad. But I was able to illegally download Photoshop and just start like diving into that. And I was so fascinated at the time by what you were able to do on a computer screen designing. And I was never really an artistic kid. I was terrible. I have really bad handwriting. I'm not very good at like freehand drawing, but I was really intrigued by the digital design aspect of it, being able to like change things and I have to erase them and like typing out different things. I was so intrigued by that. But grew up older, life kind of grabs a hold of you. You have to either decide if you're going to go to college, get a job, what you want to do with your life at 18. So fell into that trap and, went to a community school for about a year, and I was working at my dad's conveyor manufacturing company down in Logan. Mm-hmm. And I worked there as like a quality control manager. Loved working with my dad. It was a great time, but just not fulfilling for my heart and who I was as a person. So I wanted more, got into sales and fell in love with sales. Loved it. Not necessarily the sales aspect of selling something to someone, but more so the problem solving and the human to human relationship that you can form with someone. Because really that's all it came down to when I realized in sales was just like being there for someone and just getting them what they need and just pertaining to them, whatever their services might be.
Right.
But again, just, kind of cruising through life a little bit. Didn't feel very fulfilled in what I was doing. Felt like I had a very creative mind that I wasn't putting to use. So moved out on my own to Lancaster and still working in sales. And there was a guy at the time, his name is Remington James. He was starting his own YouTube channel. He's like a fitness, health, anabolic recipe type content for people to lose weight and get healthy. So I was really intrigued by that. Maybe not necessarily the health and fitness part, because I wasn't even really working out at the time. More so just like having your own thing that someone else, it's like so out of the ordinary, like a YouTube channel. Like I was so drawn to that. So he was going to the gym I went to, ended up talking to him a couple times, and approached him one day and just asked him like, hey, I love what you're doing. If you ever need any help, I'll hold the camera. I don't have a background, but I'm just so intrigued by this. And I want to like just learn. I'm just eager to learn and see what you're doing. So we kind of became good buddies, and then he ended up hiring me, and I became like his full-time videographer. Started doing that for a couple of years, and that kind of got me into the creative space because YouTube was really popular back then too. We're talking maybe 8 years ago. A lot of big fitness influencers coming out. The daily vlog thing was really taking off, and YouTube was just soaring then. So I had no background in any of this. I just loved the creative aspect. And then he was going to move to Texas, and I was not able to move at the time. So we had to cut ends on the videography portion of my work. And that kind of left me with the decision that, okay, I can either go get another job and work for someone, or I can take a leap of faith and try my own thing. So I was in a situation where I was able to do that. I could kind of do the work that he needed me to do, but then also start my own little thing on the side. So I remember back to Photoshop. I was like, I think there's a way for me to use this to make money in that way. So I found a niche where people were starting businesses. They wanted to start a side hustle or a gig, and they needed a logo. So I just came out the wall with, I'm going to do a flat rate logo service. I'm a logo designer. I'm just going to go for it. So I just washed, rinsed, repeated logos and logos and logos to where I could build up clientele, word of mouth, a portfolio, reviews. And it was weird because I wasn't really trying to start my own business. But then after a couple of months, I realized I have a business here. This is like happening. I need to like grow this. I need to like play off of this. So I was trapped in the flat rate logo service because that's just kind of working with everyone to get them what they need. And there was times where I realized, okay, I can't really make a lot of money doing this because there's some projects I'm getting done in 2 hours. There's some projects where clients, we're working through multiple revisions. I'm spending 8 hours in this design. So I had to look at it as a business approach, step back and restructure my business. And then I opened the door for other services. So it's like, I'm going to try packaging design. I'm going to try website design. And Remington, the guy I was working with, he was going to start a protein bar company in Texas, and they needed everything from the ground up. They didn't have an identity. They didn't have packaging. So that was my first entryway into more of the design world was, okay, I'm going to give them an identity. We're going to design the wrapper, the base of the product. We're going to do the boxes, website, everything. So,
were you able to pay for Photoshop at this time now?
Maybe, yeah. That took me a couple projects, but yeah, I legally own Photoshop now. Please do not come after me.
So disclaimer.
Quick disclaimer. So you stumbled into entrepreneurship through really what is your passion?
Yeah. Kind of just like following my heart a little bit and not like overthinking it or trying to chase a salary or a paycheck. It's like, I'm going to try to do something that I enjoy. Like I genuinely enjoy sitting here doing. And if I can make that a career, that would be a huge blessing. But yeah,
it's huge.
Question.
Yeah.
Going back to kind of your journey, you had talked where you were like going in the launch of the flat rate logos and all that kind of stuff. And you were like, I was turning logos, rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's a lot there in terms of, dude, how were you getting all those clients? Like what were you doing to get those? Because I mean, if you were turning them over, obviously you had to be doing something in terms of marketing to get your name out there to get those clients, right?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
At the time, I was just like blasting all my social media, and that was only really reaching local people. So I realized, okay, I need to just give these people the best experience working with them. Let's peel back the layers. Let's not make it about work. Let's make this fun. So I just started targeting and blasting what I did. And then as I got work and people wanted to work with me, I just kept posting every project. I would post their review. I would post like the story of like how we got the logo, why we chose this and that, and just showing people it's more than like a vending machine button where you push a button, you get a logo. It's like, this is like, we're building your business. We're giving it an identity. I tried to get people to realize like, this is cool. Like you guys should care about this. And I think the experience that I gave everyone through that, it just kind of circulated. And like, even to this day, like 95% of my business is word of mouth.
Wow.
So it just kind of spread where I was just getting inquiries and website inquiries and Facebook messages. Hey, so-and-so said their logo. It's great.
So they started reaching out to you.
Yeah. I had to kind of hit it hard early, but I'm at the point now where I really don't have to like advertise my services. I kind of like cater to a specific amount of clients every month, which has been a huge blessing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, dude, especially when you're in a position to where leads come to you and you don't have to go to them.
Yeah. It takes people years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And so through your customer service and, taking that sales foundation, like you said, of just like taking care of people and providing a good service, that sped up the whole process.
Yeah.
And we talk about that, just taking care of people, looking at them like people all the time. So fast forward from when you were scraping out, washing and recycling logos, fast forward to today. What are you doing today? Like, what does your business really, what all does it?
Seems like now I do a lot of packaging design. My biggest clients are packaging design clients. So, I offer a whole list of services, but definitely my two like big clients I do work for right now are Anabar, the one I just mentioned, massive protein bar company. I mean, they're crushing it. They're like
in GNC.
They just got in a GNC vitamin shop, and their sales their growth is like mirroring Quest Bar's growth.
No way.
It's like, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're killing it.
And you designed those packages.
Yeah. So like the face of the product is what I designed. Yeah.
So sick.
It is cool. It's crazy.
And then it doesn't stop there. You got another big one.
Yep. Sour Strips was a big one. They're a sour candy company. Actually, they're the number one sour candy in Target in the US. Yeah, they're huge.
Over like Sour Patch Kids and
specifically in Target. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's Max Tuning's brand.
Yep, Max Tuning. Yeah. Been blessed to work with him. The guys from Anabar got us connected and said he didn't really have a design team to do all that stuff. So they said, hey, we have a guy. It's great. He'll work with you, one-on-one, close to kind of execute what you need. And that was probably 6 months ago. And now he's given me projects to where like I'm designing the entire product, and it's like it's so cool.
Those are huge connections.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my goodness, of course.
Yeah. And
that's insane.
They're down in Houston, which is where you're at now.
They are. Yep. That was one of the reasons I moved, was to kind of, there's a lot of reasons why I moved, but to kind of go down there to where I could cater these two clients who, are really a blessing to me, but then also I can work more closely with them one-on-one.
So do both of those clients have you on retainer? Is that kind of how you have that structured?
Yep, a retainer system. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So rather than just like, hey, I'll do this for this much, it's like they're basically just purchasing time from me, and they can utilize that for whatever.
And dude, I've seen, because we have a retainer based a business model or revenue model with the agency. And what's so nice about that is that gives you stability. Right. So that way, each month, I know that this money's guaranteed. And then whatever you rack on top of that is however much money you make. But it's always nice to know where your bottom dollar is for the retainer. So that's awesome that you got those guys on retainer.
It's a huge blessing. And because I'm still freelance, so it's like I don't say yes to everything, but I have to at least value it at that, where, okay, like I will make this much money this month if I do say yes to this. I don't have a consistent income really. And I think part of my move too was, my relationship with Jesus and putting my faith in him, that he would, if I bless him with my business, I'll be the vessel. You bring me the work. I'm willing. I'll do the work. And it's been amazing. The timing of like when I need to make money, it's God's
You've never
humor.
been without.
It's so funny because there's times where I get stressed, or I start to get stressed, and I'm just like, nope, it'll all work out. And It always does. It's so crazy. I laugh every time.
Dude, mad respect for that, because that is so much easier said than done.
Yeah.
So much easier said than
Something
done.
I'm not good at, man.
Me either.
With our entrepreneur mindset, it's weird. It's go, go, go. I mean, and it doesn't help with all this content we consume about just nonstop grind mindset, and we're our own worst enemy. But I think as Christians too, we have to be able to pull back, because if we're just the one in the driver's seat the whole time, then we're living in ourself in the flesh. It's like, when are we allowing God's timing and plan to ever come in if we're constantly in control?
Boom.
Yeah.
It's
a
little nugget.
That's what a lot of Christians get twisted, is they think that God revolves around them. It should be we revolve around God. And that's like our schedule and everything, our business, all that stuff. Yeah. Trusting is really hard though.
It is.
Trusting, me and Zach, we've talked about that a lot. The white knuckle.
Oh my gosh. And I feel like of like our personality types too, of being very ambitious.
I'll figure it out.
And almost kind of like that alpha male mentality of like, I'll figure exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Yeah. Like if matter
it's
what
meant to be, it's up to me.
Yeah, exactly. So that becomes increasingly difficult, and especially in the entrepreneur space when, yes, we have retainers and stuff, but we don't have a 9 to 5 consistent job of a paycheck that's coming no matter what every 2 weeks, right? Because there's turnover in clients, there's turnover in retainers, things of that sort, that like at the end of the day, like the money that you make is what you go out and get.
Exactly.
So there's a little bit of a mindset of like, I have to go hustle. Yeah. And that creates kind of that like self-dependency, I guess, so to speak, which, like you said, isn't healthy.
Yeah.
Especially as Christians.
Yeah. I think the word to use, we talked about it earlier, is willing. Like you have to be willing, and that's willing to show up and do the work, but also willing to step back and be like, okay, like, you got this. I understand. Because so many people just get trapped in that, like that go, go, go attitude.
Yeah.
I'm to blame for it. I mean, we were talking earlier too about one of the I completely forgot about the project you mentioned earlier. I get in a headspace where I'm just like, okay, next one. It's like, I need to slow down and breathe and enjoy the moment too.
And I feel like so many times, and to this point, one of my favorite analogies, and half the time I forget this analogy altogether because we're focused on where we're going, right? Yeah. But sometimes we just need to pause, take a look behind, and see how far we've come, right? Because so often all we're doing is we're focusing on the finish line in the line that is continuously moving. It's never set, right? So we're continuously chasing this thing that is also progressing and moving, and we forget to take hindsight 2020, look behind us and say, well, look what I've accomplished.
Right. That's kind of become the America way. That's kind of become the entrepreneurial thing, because it's like, it's always what's next, where moments have we disregard valuable moments of our success.
Yeah.
As just we're just pushing through them.
Yeah. Right. And I also think that it's social media plays a role into this too, a little bit of comparison, right? Because dude, I tell you what, I log on TikTok and my algorithm is now based for just like business stuff.
Yeah.
So I see these like 22, 23-year-olds making like $100,000 a month, $200,000 a month, $400,000 a month. Yeah. And I'm like, holy smokes, like what am I doing wrong? Like I need to be at $100K a month, right? Which I mean is crazy. But I mean, obviously these kids are crushing it, but like that's not reality, right? And just because they're making $100,000 a month doesn't mean that I'm not doing well in my own regard for where I'm at, right? You know what I mean? And I feel like comparison is like the thief of all joy.
It is. Healthy comparison's good.
I think it's good
as long as you have somebody you're striving afterwards. If you're comparing yourself to somebody that you want to become like,
100%.
I think it's okay then. So I mean, it's basically, I mean, you can look at that as mentorship too. Like
a little bit.
Mentorship could be some comparison, but
I agree.
To kind of tie Grant's story together, like I want to kind of make this all come together. So you were in Columbus and you just moved to Houston.
Yep.
And you've been there for how long?
This October will be 2 years. Yep. 2 years.
So what did you say? Obviously that was an uncomfortable jump, but much needed, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and like the move was like partially for work, but the majority of it was more for me to find myself and love myself. And the life I was living, I just didn't feel, even doing my own freelance design work, I just felt like I was outgrowing where I needed to be, and I was secluding myself to where I needed to be out in front of people more. So I felt called to kind of go there and just find myself, love myself, and in return grow and get more work.
That was I can see it now. Like that's definitely a test of faith, but also a test of grit. Because now you're throwing yourself back into, that's like me as a realtor. Like Dayton is my network. Like Columbus was your network. You're getting all these people you're building logos for. It's like me going to starting fresh in a new city where you got to grind it back out.
Right.
And so, but like ultimately, what did like moving do for your business, and like how it obviously did well for your business and for your mental state, which you were just talking about?
Yeah. So mental state, I mean, God used a lot of men in the Bible to seclude themselves. So I think I just need to go and get quiet. I'm very close to my family, and I think I used even that as not a crutch, but just living a very comfortable, safe life to where I had structure over everything. I was used to everything. I had a schedule I could count on. And I think growing to tech or moving to Texas to grow allowed me to almost reshape my entire character of I have to control everything. I know where the grocery store is down here. I don't know anyone here to work with, so I have to go find work. It was challenging, but it was part of my plan and my calling, and it's been the best decision I've ever made.
So I got a question. So you had used this term, but would you say that move was uncomfortable?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. But necessary.
Necessary.
Yes.
So uncomfortable. I feel like there's a lot revolving around this word. And I feel like there's a lot that your perception on it, I don't want to say determines your success level, but to some degree determines your success level. Yeah. Why do I say that? Because I feel like people that are at the top, right? There was a whole lot of uncomfort on the way to the top. And I feel like that's what separates those that ultimately reach the success in the pinnacle of what they're trying to achieve in those that do not, is how they deal with that uncomfortable, right? Or uncomfort. Yes. Because I feel like the successful people, they will be like, you know what? I get it. And it's almost through repetition they find comfort in the uncomfort.
It's where they're made.
It's weird. It's
where they
weird
thrive.
As that sounds. Yeah. Because they know that like at the end of the day, like that sets you apart. Because the majority of people, they reach a little bit of, oh, this is hard, this is uncomfortable, and they stop. Yeah. And so I feel like that's the separator. Yeah. So, I mean, dude, props to you for knowing that this is going to be uncomfortable, doing it anyways, and then seeing where you're at on the other side. Yeah. That's super cool.
Business owners, do you know the value of creating a strong brand and realize social media is one of the best ways to do it, but don't have the time to stay consistent or know where to start? Do you need a modern website or an eye-catching logo? You only get one first impression, and you've got to make it count. No matter if you're looking for a website, a logo package, or if you need a professional to craft and implement a custom social media strategy to create a recognizable brand and drive sales, the Z&T agency has got you covered. Odds are you've probably been thinking about these things to some degree, but didn't know a solution. Or maybe this is all new to you and you're interested in hearing more. Either way, we'd love to talk to you. Reach out to zach.hire@theztagency.com to book your consultation call today.
Yeah, and it wasn't an immediate decision either, because I know there was a couple of years ago we were on vacation in Destin talking about I was wanting to move and just kind of go out. But even then I was fighting my own battles of what should I do or not? What if this doesn't happen? This doesn't work out?
Yeah, dude, I remember that because that's when Tawny and I were living in Tampa and you guys came down. We were at Anna Maria Island.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. And I remembered, dude, I definitively remember that you and I were sitting in the back of the beach house by the pool. It was just me and you. Yep. And I was trying to convince Grant to move to Tampa. I'm like, it's the greatest place in the world, man. You got to move to Tampa.
I hear all about Tampa from him too. Don't worry.
It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
Tampa's an awesome city. But dude, I remember, and that was what 2020 that we were having that conversation.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago.
Yeah. So you've been thinking about it for a while prior to doing.
Yeah, a couple years
making the jump.
Yeah, a lot of fear, unknowing, undoubtfulness. So
yeah,
I mean, like you said, I think it's just more so just like taking the leap of faith and doing it, like just starting, like taking action. It's unknown, but like that's where you're made. And like, I don't know, I'd rather try and fail than to just live in my own head of what if.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can totally relate to you on this, Grant, because Tawny and I moved to Tampa. Like we moved from being surrounded by family and all that kind of stuff. Our story's pretty crazy. We got married on a Saturday and moved to Tampa on a Monday. Yeah, it was wild. And dude, it was tough, man. It was tough as newlyweds of, making that transition from, I had gone to college, but, outside of that, never really living too far away from family and friends and what I'm comfortable with and all those types of things, to making that jump. It stretches you, but in a good way. And looking back now, yeah, we live back in Ohio, but dude, there were so many learning lessons and so many skill sets.
Season of growth.
That I have accumulated and built today. Like, I don't think that I would be doing the things that I'm doing today if I didn't make the jump then. Exactly. Right. Because the things that I learned. Yeah. So
like Hormozy likes to say, like, we love mentioning him, but in those moments of adversity, which ultimately is discomfort.
Yeah.
Yep. You can overcome or you can become. And but I've never moved like you guys have, but I love, like I told Steph this one day, last week, I was like, I love just being uncomfortable. I genuinely love it because I just see the growth now that I've been through it so many times. I literally I'm like, all right, what skill am I going to sharpen in this season now?
Right.
How am I going to get better?
Because that's when you learn and that's when you grow, is in the hard times, not the good times. Right.
So, man, you grew a lot because moving from Columbus to Houston was huge.
Yeah.
How did you grow during that move?
Well, it made me put a lot of my faith into God, not just financially, but everything. Because I'm down there alone, and I'm already like so used to seeing my family every other day. So I don't want to say it was scary, but it was really just like not living in fear, and being willing for whatever plan He might have for me. But it made me grow in ways that I didn't think I even needed at the time. And that's part of living in that trap too, where life's good, you're paying your bills, you're happy, your family's close. So I think it was also humbling to reveal things about me, that like to get vulnerable with myself and to grow over things that weren't even at the surface at the time. It
kind of took away the complacency.
Yeah. That's a good word. Complacency.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Oh man, I love that. And dude, this type of stuff kind of gets me juiced up a little bit because dude, I feel like even, where we're at today, we all want comfort, right? And I feel like comfort is what keeps us from achieving ultimate success. Because like right now, all of us, like, I mean, we're working and we're growing, but I would say we're all comfortable. Like the bills are paid. We can go on vacations, we can travel, we can do things, but kind of going back to what I was talking about of like, how do you get to 100, 200, 300 grand a month? You got to do things that push you outside of the comfort zone. Yeah. And a lot of times people just get to this stage and they're like, I guess I could stay here. There's no need to keep going. You know what I mean?
Totally agree. I have a magnet on my fridge that says up at the top left, it says, your comfort zone. And in the bottom, it says where the magic happens. They're two completely different things.
Completely.
Yeah. So that was huge for you, Grant. So it's like, what kind of? I want to hear about your connections.
Oh yeah, we were talking a little bit
into that. Yeah, like dude, Sour Strips is a big brand. Max Chuney, my wife personally loves Max Chuney and that whole squad down there. So it's like, kind of tell us about like the importance of what networking has done since you've built roots down there in Houston.
It's when people say it's all about who you know, it's true. It's just about saying yes to almost everything and just getting out there and giving people a sense of who you are and what you offer. And that's, you have to break fear to do that. But yeah, like when you're around those guys, it's like these are all like very successful guys, but it's cool when you can strip the layers back too. And like, this is also like a human being. And I think if you can relate to people as a human being, you can connect with them better. And the whole, like, you almost strip the work away from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this a little bit later in the podcast, but you know, I enjoy exercising, right?
Yeah.
And I need a little bit of energy before I go work out. So I drink Ghost Energy, right? Well, that's one of the connections. Like, don't you know they're like CEO or like, yeah. And tell us about all the different connections you've made with all these big time affluent people.
Yeah, I've been very blessed to have made some really cool connections. There's a guy I work with. He has a YouTube channel, Josh Shaw. He's an entrepreneur in like the CPG industry, and he works with a lot of flavor and ingredient manufacturers. And he will fly me out with him to when we go to these expos or events, or maybe he has to meet with a client, and it's usually people like, okay, we'll go to Ghost headquarters and we're going to hang out with Dan and grab lunch after, or we're going to First Form in St. Louis and we're going to hang out there and grab food with the CEO there, or Celsius. I got to meet their CEO. So it's like,
wow,
it's so weird because this is all pretty new for me too. I mean, these trips have just happened within the last year, but it's just crazy when you do show up and you say yes of like I never would have thought that I would be doing that 5 years ago, if that makes sense. And I don't even, it's crazy because like when I go on these trips and meet these people, that service is for videography. And like videography is one of my least services I offer because I don't even have my own camera. I usually contract that work, but he has a camera. So
interesting.
It's just funny how like I say yes and show up and do it. Yeah, I'll shoot your video for you. But it's like I get in these rooms and make these connections with these people that are just like, whoa, this is the CEO of Ghost.
Yeah.
That's wild.
To piggyback off that, we're going to trademark this as a Grant Furness saying. Earlier, before the podcast, Zach doing what he does, hyping people up, making them feel good. He's talking about how much Grant is crushing it. And Grant goes, yeah, well, I'm very blessed, but I'm very willing. And
that's so good.
Now I'm taken back by that saying because, I mean, you have to be, yes, we are blessed, but also we show up when nobody else will because we welcome the discomfort.
That's so
once
good.
Again.
Yeah. That's
so like all that stemmed from an organic relationship with that buddy who you now shoot video for, which is super cool. But they're natural, they're organic, they're not forced. Right. And it's because you show the human side of things. And then ultimately it pours over into work.
Yeah. Yeah. I care about people and I care about the work I do.
And that shows. Yeah. That shows. I mean, even for us, like we just got done doing a project, you and I, with the Z&T agency. And I mean, first, absolutely crushed it.
Thank you.
Seriously, absolutely.
I told you he hypes people up.
No, I mean, going back to it, it's true. But dude, just how well you communicate, how caring you do. I remember, we were just talking about this and I was like, man, you did such a good job. Thank you so much. Like you communicate so well. You get stuff done so fast. I mean, not to like set this as the standard, but just showing the speed that he was working. I mean, you had our website, a preview in like a week and we also had a logo package. I remember we were talking with the client late Friday afternoon, and this guy gets me the preview for the logo package Sunday afternoon
and knocked it out of the park
and just crushed it. But I remember I was like, dude, thank you so much. And you're like, you know, I'm just super passionate about what I do. And I want, to make sure that I'm taking care of people. And that was the whole point of all of this was, dude, it shows that you genuinely care and you're passionate about it and you're wanting to share that passion with other people. Like, I mean, top tier.
Thank you.
Like,
and you're doing great work now. But like you've been in your business for about 3 years now, doing your thing. Yep. And we always like to do this for the entrepreneurs because, I mean, there is a pretty picture to entrepreneurship. There is. But also it's tough. What was it like building your business initially? What were like the struggles that you had?
money for sure. Yeah, money. Trying to start your own business. I mean, thankfully,
hence why you had to illegally download Photoshop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally had to illegally download Photoshop.
So money
was the big one at first because I was already used to getting a paycheck every week, 2 weeks or whatever, and you can kind of count on that money and figure out, okay, I can spend this much money. But with what I do and trying to find work and not getting a set paycheck, it was a very stressful, wavy ride where like you have to say yes to like everything this month to be able to pay your bills this month. Or it was really learning financially how to run a business. But also when you're a one-man army, you know, you're communicating, you're quoting the project, you're communicating throughout the project, you're designing the project, you're sending the invoices.
You're spread pretty thin.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing everything. You're getting all the logos for them. I mean, I'm definitely the bottleneck. So I think that was a big like eye opener, is realizing like I'm kind of capped at where my business can go.
You can only do so much.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, and even to this day, I'm like kind of stuck. I'm in a weird stale spot right now where I have to decide, where do I go from here?
Right. So question, you said you're a one-man army and you're kind of the bottleneck. Or is it cross your mind or something that you may be looking to do to expand and hire? So that way, you know, you can take on more work.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a good designer. Sure. I feel like I have a good eye for something, but there are so many talented designers. They just need the right creative direction and lead. So I think ideally I want to get away to where I'm the bottleneck, locked behind the computer doing everything, and have a team under me where I can be more of a lead and structure what they're doing, what they're working on, and sign off and everything. So that is my goal, is to grow a team. Just not quite there yet, but that could change. I mean, who knows how quick.
And that's encouraging for us because, I mean, we talked about this a little bit. Like, dude, with our partnership with the Z&T agency and what you have going on, that's encouraging because, dude, it is our objective to start getting you a lot of projects coming down the pipeline. Because that's huge for us. I think that it's huge for you. And you know, being able to utilize your skill set and our skill sets and bringing that together, I think that it's creating such a win-win for not only you and I, but for the clients as well.
Yeah.
You know, and so, I mean, that's very encouraging that if you're looking to hire and then as we get in a flow, you know, getting more and more and more projects going to you.
I mean, for me, that's like the perfect client, because if you guys are just bringing me consistent work, I'll do the work. So the hard part is finding the work.
For sure.
So if you can just find the work for me and bring it to me, that's a huge blessing for me.
Of course.
I would say that's like almost the biggest battle that entrepreneurs face, is just the consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that comes in when you're needled with your marketing.
Yeah.
That's why marketing is so important.
Yeah.
Oh
It's the lifeline. It's the lifeblood of a business.
Well, let's talk about that, because like I'm really interested, because Grant has such a niche at what he does in building brands and marketing. Like, so tell us about like the people here listening, maybe if they're trying to start a business, what's the most important thing they can do as far as like building a brand? I mean, can you stress the importance of that?
Yeah. I mean, realistically, like what you need to focus on is first and foremost is the identity of your business. You need a good identity, because in this digital demanding age we have, and people's attention spans is just so low, you have microseconds to at least grab their attention and then hopefully keep their attention. So do not stress, or do not rush your logo design process. Like, there's so many people that want to just pump out a logo for their business like a vending machine, but like, this is the identity of your business. This is like, your logo should reflect your core values through colors and fonts, and it should give people some sort of creative idea of what you're about. And really, like, it's the foundation of everything, because if you build a really good identity, that's where your website's going to be really good. Your marketing's going to be really good. Your social media content, because you've already done the hard groundwork of the identity itself.
And that's an area that you do not want to skimp.
No. And I think if people do that, I think subconsciously people can correlate something with that. Like, if you have a restaurant and your logo looks really cheap, there's something, like, you might not even know what good design looks like, but I think there's something stands out to you where like that logo looks cooler than that one. And I think that reflects over into your business, because like I said, you have a couple seconds to grab the attention, but people might not even make it into your restaurant if they're looking for a new place to go and you have a really bad looking logo, because they might correlate that with what's the atmosphere, is it clean, what's the food like take like a pizza shop for a logo, for example. Like you could have like a really cool logo for a pizza shop, new, trendy, clean, but then you might have one that looks like it's from the 80s. It's like, what's this place going to be like? There's something connects there subconsciously, I think, with like human psychology.
It is very subconscious. Like Zach, you got your story about Sueño, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, basically what we're talking about now is the power of the brand. Right.
Yeah.
And as a marketing guy, I know owning the marketing agency, I just gave a marketing presentation to a group a couple of weeks ago. And this was one of the biggest topics that I was talking on was the importance and the power of having a good brand, right? I use the example of, in a cliche, but a t-shirt, right? You can buy a t-shirt for $10. Mm-hmm. If you throw on a Nike logo, you can buy that t-shirt for $50. Yep. If you throw in a Lululemon logo, you buy that same t-shirt for $90. And if we want to go to the ultimate extreme, throw on a Gucci logo, and now that shirt's $1,500. Basically the same t-shirt, but look at what people are willing to pay, because the perceived value based on what? Based on the brand.
Yes.
It is insanely important to have that. So getting into also of what we're talking about and also from the social media guy, here's a statistic. 74% of people search on social media prior to purchasing a product or a service. So that seems crazy, right? But I know this to be factual for myself. So Grant, everything that you were saying, right? We got invited to a dinner a couple months ago, my wife and I, and it was to a restaurant downtown Dayton that we had never been to, Sueño, for anybody that's listening that knows that. We had never been there, okay? So the first thing that we did, both Tawny and I, is we got onto their social media platforms. We got onto Instagram and we searched Sueño. And luckily enough, they had a great following with multiple thousands of followers with great content that was very aesthetic. They had their website linked directly in their bio. And I kid you not, before I even went, I knew what I was going to be ordering, right? So 74% seems like a lot, but people utilize social media to search for things before they go. Yeah. And if you don't have a presence or a brand that is built that resonates with people, see you later. They're never going to check you out because if you're not doing those things, I can assure you your competition and competitors are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they will go to them versus you. Yep. So that's what I mean. Oh my gosh. This stuff is just so important. I see it every day.
Yeah.
It's so important. So everything that you're saying, I could not agree more.
Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest? Be sure to use a Maxwell Group at NavX Realty, where your dream is our passion. The Maxwell Group takes pride in client relationships and experiences. We utilize our knowledge, our love for the industry, and our extensive network to handle your life's biggest investment. Call or text Spencer Maxwell at 937-572-5382.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. And it really is so subconscious. It's like you go out, you're going out to this place and you check out their socials and you automatically love the place before you even walk in.
Exactly.
Because they just display great branding, great atmosphere, and consistency at that.
100%. And it really is. And Grant, let me know what you think. And I mean, even Spencer too, I feel like a lot of this stuff is really psychology. So branding is psychology between the color choice, between the fonts, between everything that you have going on. It's playing on human psychology.
Yes.
And so like, this is why it's important to not skimp on these things and to get a professional that knows what they're doing to set you up for success. Because if you're trying to throw together a logo real quick, like obviously you're probably not tapping into, what colors should we be using that resemble these types of feelings and attractions and emotions and things of that? What font? Like you're not doing that because no offense, but if you're working on something else, like you don't know those things,
Right.
and vice versa.
Oh, I don't know how to, like, with the Maxwell Group. Like, you literally told me build a brand that you could take anywhere. Because like I was going to do cheesy stuff, and now you've kind of built this luxury brand for me that I can literally take anywhere I want.
And you did take it because we've switched brokerage from Keller to NavX, and nothing changed.
So the importance of branding, guys, is really, I mean, that's huge, especially for young entrepreneurs when you're getting started. And this is coming from a guy who literally, we skipped over this too. We haven't talked about this. The importance of branding is being stressed from the lips of a guy that had work displayed in Times Square.
Yeah.
And on the number one selling candy, sour candy in Target and all this stuff. So, that's huge. So shameless plug. If you need branding, hit up Grant or hit up the Z&T agency.
Yeah. We'll get you in contact with Grant through the Z&T agency. Yeah. And I don't want to gloss over that too much. Our boy right here had a client, and his work was presented in Times Square.
Yeah, what work was it?
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah,
that's huge.
I didn't even know at the time it was going to be that. Like, he didn't request an ad for Times Square. This guy, he had a vegan cheese company. They're called Please Cheese. And his whole thing was trying to make a good cheese that would melt and cook to make a good vegan pizza. Because I guess it's a big thing, is trying to find a good vegan pizza.
Yeah.
So he found my Instagram and reached out and asked me if I could make some flyers that he could hand out at an event. And I designed them. A couple months went by, and then he contacted me and said, "Hey, I ended up using one of these flyers on an ad in Times Square. Here's an article if you want to check it out. I thought it was cool, wanted to share." And I was like, huh? So I get on this article, and it's my design in Times Square. It was a really cool photo.
That's
it's very
so
aesthetic.
cool.
I was just like, what? Like, I didn't even it's just crazy. Cause like at the time I had no idea it would even be used for that. And then
that's wild.
That's
so
huge.
Cool.
Like, that is literally like the marketing epicenter of the world.
Yeah.
And
literally
that I have a question about that. Do you feel pressure now? Yeah.
Yeah.
In what ways?
Well, for me personally, I'm like a firstborn perfectionist, so I just strive for perfection. But I don't know. I think just I want people to love what I design them, and I think I get in my own head about, are they gonna like it? Are they gonna hate it? Or thinking ahead of all the revisions. So it is hard because I'm actually thankful I didn't know it was for Times Square, because it probably would have stressed me out even more. I just think just not getting in your own head and just doing it, and like working with these people like human beings. Like, even with Max and the Anabar guys, it's like I could put all this pressure on myself, like, oh, they're the number one candy in Target or sour candy in Target, but just doing it and starting, and then just working with these people like humans, and you realize, oh, this isn't so bad.
Having that relationship to build the product and build the brand comfortably together.
Yes.
Takes the pressure away, the organic relationship that you've built.
Yeah. Stripping away those layers.
Yeah. And also, I mean, at the end of the day, like, these people put their pants on just like we do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're human beings.
Yeah.
Like, although, they're very accomplished, and we look and strive to, accomplish things like they have, like, they're just people.
But it also ties back to like what we were talking about, like being comfortable in those uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
To where, like, you're name dropping some big time companies and dudes, but it's like you're around them. You might be uncomfortable, but you've been there before.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's more comfort that's built through repetition.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the more that you work with those, types of clients, probably the more comfortable that you get, I would assume.
Yeah. It gets easier.
Yeah.
It's just about anything, just showing up and doing it, and reps. I mean,
and if anything, dude, it's just bringing that much more validity to you and your business.
Right.
Because I know for us, like, dude, when I'm talking to prospective clients with the Z&T agency about websites and logo packages and design and things of that sort, dude, I am dropping that like crazy. I'm like, our partner, he's worked with Sour Strips. He's worked with Anabar.
Holds weight.
He's had work displayed in Times Square, and I just see them go from to okay. And it just brings so much, I guess, trust.
Yeah.
That if they trust you.
Isn't that crazy though? Because it's like, without even seeing my work, they react that way from what are they? Brands. We were just talking about
100%.
Like you said Nike. It's
exactly.
Like, it's all about the validity and trust. It's so crazy, the human psychology.
What is putting those projects on your resume done for you and your business?
It's huge. I mean, like obviously with his now, they're all shocked, but it's just every project now, it's like I can almost present it like, do you want to work with me or not? Because like I know what I can bring to the table. I have validation for this. Like they trust me. There's a million great designers, but like they chose to work with me and continue to work with me because the experience I bring to them.
Yeah.
Right.
And that ties back into what we talked about on episode 2, just like the importance of networking. Look at what it has done for your resume, which ultimately is going to 10x your business. It's all about people in your business, which ties back to that foundation in sales that you love so much.
And those are things where you're like I didn't know I was going to move to Texas and all this was going to happen, and nothing has really like, I don't want to say like it's happened right now, but like in 5 years, am I going to get a phone call from Dana Ghost? Like they might need help on a project. I don't know.
Who knows?
I think it's just about being willing, doing the work, planting seeds, just treating people good. Getting out there.
I'm blessed, but I'm willing. I'm blessed, but I'm willing. On the whole ghost thing and whatnot, I kind of want to transition a little bit into a little bit of like the health and fitness space. Because, I'm a huge proponent of health is wealth. Like it's everything, right? It's so important to take care of your body. But with working with ghosts and all that kind of stuff, you have said that, and I don't know how long you've been doing it, but you said that you've been on carnivore for a while now, right? And have seen insane benefits.
I'm like a different person, honestly. I feel 10 years younger. My brain feels amazing. I did it, about 9 months ago now. Pretty strict. I mean, I would say about 6 days out of the week, I eat just animal fat.
Wow.
And then on the weekend, I might get a burger or something. So it has like a bun. But that was part of my transition move to Texas and just self-love, finding myself. I was questioning a lot of the foods I was eating, what I was putting in my body. And I am someone who I think I had, now whether this was from the food or born genetically, I'm not sure, but bipolar tendencies where I would just get very irrational mood swings, almost to the point where you like black out in a weird way, just acts of rage. And I didn't really want to go try to get on a medication for that. I didn't really feel like I had anything I needed to talk about to someone about it. I just would have these mood swings. So I looked into it, and it seemed like the carnivore diet was the diet that heals the brain for almost everything. And they're kind of linking all of these brain diseases back to the foods we're eating. So I tried it out to try to see how do I notice a change in myself, my character, how I feel. And it has just changed everything about me physically and mentally. I don't get any weird brain fog. I don't get like weird afternoon crash, like yawns like I would used to get. I stare at a computer screen 12 hours a day. I mean, I would get headaches every other day, if not every day, really bad migraines. I haven't had a headache since I started the carnivore diet.
Dude, that is crazy.
Just weird things that they're not happening instantly, but it's like after a couple months, I was like, I haven't had a headache for a while.
And it's been all diet because you said you haven't changed your workout.
I haven't changed my workouts or anything. I'm actually working out less than I was. I'm letting my body rest more than lifting as I was. Yeah, it's insane. Just like so my bipolar tendencies seemed to start going away. I just felt more level-headed and calm and collected. And I used to be on anxiety and depression medicine when I was younger. I got off of that eventually, but I am someone who struggled with anxiety. Do you guys have anxiety? Do you like more?
I personally don't think so. So it's tough for me to relate.
I mean, I have plenty of my own struggles, but I don't get overly anxious. I mean, sometimes if I get juiced up on too much caffeine, I get like a little, but not too much. But I mean, that's not to say that I don't struggle with my own slew of things.
The way I describe it is like it happens when you wake up and it feels like someone's sitting on your chest and you're 8 hours behind on your day already. That's what it feels like. It's a like
a mental panic.
It's terrible. It's like almost like a fight or flight mode. Like it's weird. Yeah. So after a couple months too, I noticed like I'm just like waking up happy and not rushed with all of this anxiety.
Dude, no way.
I could go on and on, but it's interesting now because how clean I eat if I do incorporate those foods again. I'll never forget. I went to Crumble Cookie like 6 months ago, and I got like one chocolate chip cookie, and I felt terrible. And the next morning, that anxiety woke up just like
wow,
like out of breath almost, just like it's weird. It's weird. So like I started to correlate, okay, these foods I'm eating, and not everyone acts that way, or maybe you get in a state where you don't even recognize these things and you just think of it as normal living.
Right.
This is just how I feel. But once I started reintroducing them, I was able to pinpoint these foods were making me act this way. Like,
dude, and I mean, I could kind of go on a tangent about this because I mean, dude, the food in America is garbage.
It's disgusting.
It's garbage. I mean, there's ingredients that are outlawed and banned in other countries that are in. And dude, if you look at the ingredient list of just normal foods that you think should just be like one ingredient foods, I mean, it's like, whew,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And what were we talking about earlier of like a Chick-fil-A? Oh, because you eat a lot of steaks. So we're like, if you go to Chick-fil-A and you get a Chick-fil-A sandwich, like you're getting a chicken sandwich, but there's like what, 20 ingredients in there, like or more.
Yeah, the bun has like I think like 35 or like 50 ingredients in the bun.
Oh my goodness, that's insane.
Yeah,
and then when you're eating a steak, you're eating one ingredient. You're eating steak.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people's stress comes from the food because your body, like, we don't really think about what we eat. We're hungry, we want to satisfy the hunger, but like what happens inside you that we don't? I mean, it gives us energy, it replenishes us. Your body has to know what to do with all those things. So let's say you get the Chick-fil-A sandwich, but you also get the fry, then you get the drink. You're consuming 100 different ingredients in 30 minutes for one meal.
Right.
Then you have breakfast or dinner. You might have 500 different ingredients in your system that your body has to say, okay, what is this? Okay, we'll put this here. I think just that, reducing what you're taking in and like giving your body fuel that it knows what to do with, you're already going to feel better. Because even just eating throughout the day, your body, when you eat and digest, it's technically under a state of stress. So even though if you think like, I'm going to have my protein shake and these almonds, and then later I'm going to have some chicken rice. If you're eating like 6 times a day, your body's in a state of constantly like stress.
Right.
So like people might think they're like healthy. It's like, shouldn't be eating that much.
No, that totally makes sense. That is interesting. And one of the things that you said that I think is like so intriguing is the fact that a lot of people that eat the way that they do are feeling these things, but don't even realize they're feeling these things, and they deem it as normal.
It's just, it's normal. It's all they know.
Right. And until you get off of those things and realize of like kind of the brain fog of like, did you even realize that you had brain fog until you started doing this and realize, oh, this is what mental clarity feels like.
Yeah. It's weird. People get trapped. And I think that's why like people get like road rage and stuff. It's like, I think it's just all of our bodies trying to process all this stuff, and we can't handle it.
Right.
Legitimately.
So that's obviously helped you in your work. I mean, brain fog.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely with my work. And I'm not overthinking everything either. And I don't have anxiety about projects because like if I go into it with a clear mind and I'm at peace and I'm not in a state of like fight or flight, then I can just like enjoy my work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I feel like we just undermine.
People discount diets.
It's everything.
It is everything.
And I feel like people undermine like the importance and the value of, or I guess how far reaching a diet is and how it influences every aspect of your life.
It does. Yeah. And like, because we were talking about a logo, but like you have to take it farther. Like if you're running a business or starting a business, like, are you in the right mindset? Are you happy? Like these things matter. Like if it starts with you, that bleeds over into everything.
Absolutely.
Everything. I mean,
I could not agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I've seen businesses fall apart because of unhealthy relationships, which ultimately starts with your false self, your unhealthy self.
Yeah. Curious, how many days a week do you work out, and what's your workout split?
4 to 5, usually at least 4, sometimes 5.
Okay.
I'll just do like push pull legs sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know.
Sometimes
legs.
I get that. Yeah.
We skip leg day.
Oh man.
Nothing crazy though. I don't do like any like heavy compound lifts. And that's a thing too, is a lot of people think they're healthy and going to the gym, but it's like I see people squatting and they talk about knee pain and back pain. It's like you're only aggravating your injury because of the food you're eating, and then you're going and working out and putting that load on your inflamed body. So it's like you're almost hurting yourself by going to the gym and doing that.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is the diet of how much inflammation it puts in your body. Everything's inflamed.
It's crazy.
Right? So especially if you go to the gym and you're trying to, lift heavy, like exactly what you just said, like you're putting all that weight on inflamed joints.
Yeah.
What brought all this research on that made you want to get on the carnivore diet?
So I was looking into like brain diseases and just like I was thinking about my grandparents and my parents, they're getting older, and I was looking into Alzheimer's, and I thought it was really interesting that Alzheimer's wasn't even a word or even existed 50, 60 years ago. Around the same time they restructured the food pyramid, and that they started the narrative that butter and red meat would clog your arteries and high cholesterol is bad for you. And so I started reading into that because I was like, that's a very weird thing to happen at that time for them to preach that shift, because ancestrally and a lot of like older people I know is they ate a lot of salt, butter, red meat. I mean, bacon and eggs was such a traditional breakfast
Totally
for so many people. And you can argue that we were so much healthier back then. So like something's not aligning here. So started looking into the Alzheimer's thing, and I realized, okay, the human brain is majority fat. It's mainly made of fat. And when you deprive your body of fat, you try to keep your cholesterol low, don't eat red meat, your brain starts to deteriorate because you're not feeding it cholesterol and fat. The brain feeds on cholesterol. And there's a misconception of what good cholesterol is and what bad cholesterol is. And I'll never forget this, but like I was at Kroger one time buying like 24 eggs, and an older guy, like he was pretty old, he had to be probably 80, shuffled up to me and said, "Wow, that's a lot of eggs. My doctor said I couldn't eat eggs because my cholesterol is high." And that will always stick with me. It's like I feel like so I'm going against the grain because I'm kind of a conspiracy guy. I don't really trust the government. I don't trust the food. And like, it's weird that there's such a narrative around red meat and salt and butter. I'm like,
but it's paid such dividends for you personally.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's like, my cholesterol is like through the roof and I feel the best I've ever felt.
Do you see that in a lot of guys like around, because like you're in like the health and workout epicenter down there because like Alpha Land and all that stuff. Do you see a lot of guys doing that around you as well?
Not carnivore, no. Carnivore is kind of a weird one because there's a misconception on vegetables, and a lot of people think they should have carbohydrates. But so a lot of those guys just they also just eat whatever. They just want to look good. For me, it was like, I want to be healthy. Right. I want to live a long. I want to be 70 and still kicking it, like 100%. Moving around. Like, what do I got to do for that?
Well, let me just bring more confirmation to what you're doing. So last year, my mom and dad, they decided that they want to go hike Pikes Peak. So that's a 14,000 foot mountain out in Colorado. Right. And my dad's like 61 and my mom is like 60 and they got on the carnivore. Right. And no joke, my mom was like shredded. Like she literally, I remember we were going to Lululemon to go get some leggings for her. And she came out of the dressing room and like kind of lifted up her shirt a little bit to show the leggings and just like abs. and then
I need to get on the carnivore diet over here.
And my mom specifically, like obviously they were both in shape. They went and crushed Pikes Peak, but my mom had been talking about the brain fog and all that kind of stuff. And she said, "Zach, when I went on this, gone."
Yeah.
So everything that you're saying was applicable to her as well. Yeah. So, I mean,
health is wealth, people.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, that's crazy. Huge, man. So really, I guess, Grant, too, we'll talk a little bit about your faith, because ultimately that's who you are. I know you talk about anxiety and depression and kind of like the diet as well, but also how has the Lord kind of played into your life, your business, and all that stuff?
Well, the first thing I did for my business was I blessed my business to God, and I asked him, I'll be a vessel for the work. I want to represent your kingdom, and if I can impact people out of my work just through who I am as a person, I'm willing. Bring me the work. And that's all my work now is word of mouth. So I try to look for opportunities to just reach people, reach their hearts in certain ways, which like here we are now on a podcast, and I'm sharing my faith. It's
Right.
like I wouldn't have happened if I didn't even get into the creative world, probably.
Right.
So I think it's just putting all my faith in him too, you know, trusting that like being away from my family, like this is necessary. I know it's hard. Just work, trusting that work's going to come in.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. And I know the world that we're moving in is you're in a really cool field here. The world we're moving in is very digital and design and social media. So I guess we'll kind of leave room for a little plug here. So if somebody wanted to reach out, maybe seek some wisdom from you or kind of see how you're doing your thing, because you're very successful and at the young age of 30, that is too, to encourage others, where can they find you?
Grant Furness on Instagram, just my name, and then grantfurness.com is my website. So it's really the only things I'm on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, make sure that you go show Grant some love. I mean, dude is crushing it. And not only is he a great businessman, but he's an even better person.
Yeah.
So that, that's what matters. So at the end, as always, we like to leave a little tidbit of encouragement. Spencer, you want to give him the little rundown on encouragement?
Well, I'm going to take that. I'm going to pass it on to Grant over here because Grant gave us his favorite scripture for the day. And just like our first couple episodes, man, reliable. Proverbs. Grant, hit him with it.
Yep. Proverbs 14:23. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty.
That is great.
I'm blessed, but I'm willing.
Blessed, but willing. Man, if you don't take anything away, that's a good takeaway right there.
Blessed, but I'm willing.
Yeah. So as always, feel free to like and subscribe, and we will see you next week on the Blueprint Podcast.
See you next week.
Peace.